Hello, everybody, and how in the hell are you doing today? I just decided I want to bust out a little sketch and ramble a little bit about stuff going on in the world and current events and all sorts of crap. I just ordered a webcam because I just can't figure out how to get this GoPro to link up to my computer so that I can have it doing what it's doing right now while my webcam on my computer films me drawing, so you guys don't have to just try to converse with some hands, so that I can get some live streams going on Kick and YouTube. Anyway, hiya. Get rid of that. And yeah, I just wanted to do kind of a quickie today, farting around, messing with some pens every once in a while. I like messing around with the pens, just kind of testing them out, see how they're doing and stuff. You know, I couldn't help but notice all the shit going on in the world. It sure seems like Minneapolis keeps popping up. And that's nothing against Minneapolis. You know, I got nothing against those guys. You know, I had family in Minneapolis for a while, years ago, that I didn't really know them all that well. But I liked the city. You know, I always thought to myself, here's a city I could live in, you know, if, you know, when I grow up, you know, because when I was out there last, I was, you know, in my early teens, so that's just how I thought, you know, like, oh, I could live here, this is a nice city. But it sure seems like a lot of shit's going on there all the time, you know, in the last couple of years. You know, you had the Floyd stuff going on, and all the peaceful protests. And if you were there for any of that, let me know, you know, what was that like? But, yeah, man, it's just, and it just keeps popping up. You know, now the shit with the Somali, you know, fraud or whatever is going on. Now, granted, I know a lot of this shit's political, so, like, I'll let the shit lie where it goes, you know, but at the end of the day, it's like, that's a lot of coinky dinks going on in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. And it makes me wonder, like, well, what the fuck is going on over there? Is there something in the water? I mean, what's the deal? Because it seems like so many issues are coming out of there. And it's not even the ICE stuff, it's before the ICE shit, you know. And ICE, at the end of the day, is just immigration, okay? And immigration is something that every American president has done. That's not, you know, strictly a Donald Trump thing, you know. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they called Obama the deporter-in-chief, you know. Take that any way you want. But it's like, you know, why is it always Minneapolis? What's the deal? What's going on there? Why is it always the flashpoint? I don't understand. I don't get what's going on. I need I need somebody to fill me in on why Minneapolis is always the place. Because for a long time it seemed like it was a, you know, decent city, you know, mid-sized city. Nothing crazy going on, you know. I'm sure it had its issues like any big city does. So it's like, fuck, man, you know, it's just unreal to me, you know. Yep, I've been faithfully, you know, since I just kind of discovered the Kino Casino and those guys not too long ago. I've been watching a lot of the back episodes from like a year ago about, you know, fuck, there's so many people, you know, about iDubbbz and Anissa, about, you know, all of them, dude. Rich, Phil, that Cambion guy, he's freaking hilarious. He seems like somebody I could sit down and hang out with. He just seems cool. He likes a lot of the same kind of shit that I like, you know, when it comes to the conspiracies and stuff, so. But, yeah, so I've been kind of, you know, doing what I can to get that going and kind of catch up on that stuff. And, you know, there's so much of it. There's so much lolcow stuff. But I'll say this much, you know, I have genuinely grown a disdain for iDubbbz and Anissa. More Anissa, I feel like iDubbbz is a hostage, kind of. But at this point, I feel like he's a hostage with, like, Stockholm Syndrome, you know? Because she just, like, walks all over that guy, dude. She walks all over him, and, you know, he just lets it happen. And to me, it's like, what the fuck, man? You had, you know, a super successful YouTube channel. You had, you know, probably tons of money. I would assume so, at least, with that, especially at that point in time during YouTube's, where it was at in the world. And it's just like, she took you, dude. And I'll sit there and watch their little podcast where it's her and him and Dane. And, and it's the most miserable fucking podcast I've ever seen or heard. I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't talk. I just started my thing, so I don't have anybody really. But it's like, I'd rather have nobody than her, She's such a fucking evil woman. And it's like, what did she do to that guy? He's so, I don't know. Pretty sad. Pretty sad what you can let yourself become, and she's always just, she's just, her favorite topic is her. She's always talking about her. And that whole creator clash thing, like, what is it with these, internet people that basically, in my opinion at least, allegedly commit, it seems like fraud, and it was all basically just to schmooze with the, the elite, the Hassans and the fucking Frogans. Christ, what a shit show. But that stuff's fun to watch. It's fun to watch because it's completely pointless and completely useless, and it doesn't really matter. Because, yeah, and to me at least, it's like, well, what the hell? I get a kick out of it. I'm watching it. I'm watching Kino Casino just rip these people to shreds, because they're not nice people, none of them are great people. That's the thing. It's like, it's not like they're, tearing apart freaking nice, good people that are honest people. No, they're tearing apart pieces of shit like that, who just are the worst people, dude. The worst people. These are the kind of people that say it's okay. These are the people that like wear a Eat the Rich outfit to a gala wearing a $10,000 dress with a fucking $20,000 bag. These are the, and I can't stand those fucking people, It's like, look, and I don't like uber rich assholes any more than the next person, but not every uber rich person's an evil piece of shit. And it's just funny, if you go back historically and listen to like how liberals mainly spoke, back in the day, they hated millionaires because none of them, it wasn't fashionable or profitable to be a politician yet. So all of them hated, millionaires. And back in the day, millionaires were mainly conservatives. It's funny how the parties have like kind of flip-flopped, And I'm a libertarian, so I can see it. I can call out both sides, and there's things I like about both sides. There's things I dislike about both sides. And, yeah, so it's like the parties have flipped, and somehow the fucking Democrats have become the party of uber-rich gazillionaires, even though they hate them, apparently. They become the party of that, and the conservatives have become more of the fringe party, and it's crazy. It's crazy how it's flip-flopped like that. But, it's kind of just the way it is, It's the way things go. In life, in time, things flip-flop like that. There's always the pendulum roll. Donald Trump is in power right now, and, maybe, Vance or Rubio or something gets in power next, and we have 8 years of, conservatism, and then the pendulum swings again, and it goes back to the left. And that's fine, but, when things are fine. But, for whatever reason, the left has become this party of lunatics, for the most part, in my opinion, at least. I don't know. I usually don't like getting too political, but I'm just so tired of seeing all the bullshit all the time, everywhere, all the time, It's just getting on my fucking nerves. So it's like, that's a big reason why I watch those Kino Casino guys, because, they do talk about politics, but more not politics, they talk more socio-political stuff, which I'm fine with talking about that kind of stuff. The way society is, and how things are going. And there is a bit of a culture war going on right now between the right and the left. It's not just a political theater. There really is an actual culture war going on. And people are fighting it in every way they can, and that's fine. I'm all about it. because, like I said, the pendulum must swing. Like I said, I'm just testing out a pin today, guys, so I'm just kind of drawing a little fella here, a little magician type guy with his cape and stuff. Just kind of fart around with this pin. But yeah, so I got no problem talking about socio-political stuff, you know, like Maduro just getting caught. You know, what's that going to do to South America? Is that going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a bad thing? Is it going to destabilize it? You know, you could argue that it was already destabilized the way it was. So, you know, how, you know, are Venezuelan gangs in America going to retaliate? You know, it's what's the deal? What's it going to be? It's interesting to theorize, you know. But I don't think they'll do anything. I think for the most part, people in Venezuela probably didn't like Maduro. But like any kicked a dog, you know, they're like, well, what am I supposed to do? The guy's got all the guns, he's got the police, he's got everybody, you know. So it's like, what do you do about that? Not much you can do about it. You just gotta kind of go with it. Unfortunately. But, you know, hopefully this will help them out. And we can move on to the next target of opportunity, whatever that'll be. It sounds like Greenland right now. Maybe somebody should ask the Greenland people what they want. Because I can tell you this, it doesn't seem like Denmark does a very good job lording over them until it comes to talking shit to Donald Trump. Then they're all about it, Greenland. But it's like, you know, Greenland has some of the worst poverty in the hemisphere. And it's like, you know, where are all these assholes, you know, when Greenland needs something. So I don't know. I think maybe they should talk to Greenland and not Denmark. Especially if Denmark and Europe is so wanting to get out of their colonialist roots. I think letting Greenland make its own decision up would probably be, you know, advantageous to that kind of philosophy. You know, if you're going to say, well, I'm a anti-colonial and we got to make all these, you know, reparations for our horrible past, you know, being an evil white man in Europe and all that shit. Well, then back the fuck up when it comes to Greenland. Not to mention, the only reason Donald Trump wants Greenland has nothing to do with resources. I mean, I'm sure it might have something to do with it a little bit, but Greenland has always been a early warning spot for America for missiles from Russia. So, you know, for Europe, who's always talking smack about Russia, you know, this should be a blessing for them, you know, like, hey, we'll take care of Greenland and take care of Russia like we always fucking do, and you, Europe, can sit back and do nothing like you always do. And I think that would work out. But no, they just, you know, want to hate on anything fucking Trump says. I think Trump should say, I support breathing. And then after that, all the crazies will fucking stop breathing, you know? Oh, yeah. So that's what's going on with current events for the day. Nothing too crazy, just the usual bullshit, you know? People hating everything and hating on Trump and hating on the world and, you know, what do you even do anymore? Just kind of go with it. Our little portal there and our little magician guy flopping around. But, yeah. I think otherwise, I think a lot of things are decent in the world, you know? It seems like, you know, the news always wants to make you think like the sky is falling, you know? That's the business they're in. But it's not always what's going on. I think there's a lot more, you know, peace and tranquility in the world than they give it credit for, you know? Because, like I said, their job is doom and gloom. That's what they do. They do the doom, they do the gloom. And that's all they want to do. We got our little rabbit fella here. Man, magician's gotta have a rabbit, right? Yeah, so hopefully the world can figure its bullshit out. And everybody can get back to just living life. You know, it seems like Europe is hell-bent on starting shit with Russia for whatever reason. Well, I mean, I know the reason. It's just to stay in power. You know, they want to stay in power over in Europe, and they're really clamping down over there, man. It seems like all their little crazy laws when it comes to hate speech and stuff, and throwing you in jail, especially in the UK. They've really lost the plot over there. Holy smokes. We're bringing democracy to them pretty quick. Yeah, we'll be bringing them democracy pretty soon. Things keep up like this. I gotta hand it to the SEAL team or whatever, Delta Force the other day that got Maduro. You know, like, holy shit. Think about that. Think about going in there like that. And just fucking stealing the dictator of a country. You know, out from underneath his own freaking house. Makes you wonder how he did it. You know, how they did it. They had to have had help. You know, they had to have had, like, inside help. Because that would be fucking hard to do otherwise, man. It'd be hard to do. Not impossible, but it would be hard to do. But yeah, now he's in New York City, and, you know, he's in jail in New York, and yeah, that's probably all that's gonna happen. It's the end of that guy, you know? I heard something about Cuba, but, you know, and, Rubio. So, we'll see. I say fucking take them all out, man. If they're fucking with America, take them out. It's that simple, man. Take them out. They're taking us out, take them out. No more bullshit. You know? Fuck. You know, it'd be nice if the world could just be peaceful, but for whatever reason it can't be, so it's like, fuck it then. Let's just get this world war that's coming out of the way. So that my kid and your kid doesn't have to grow up in a world like that. Let's just get that shit over with now. Let the pieces fall where they do.